darling.
Hi.
Come in.
Thank you. Hi guys. So today I am talking to Jannine and Gemma. I actually have known these girls for a long time. We are actually quite good friends. They both are in PR, so their point of views are quite interesting, and we actually have talked a lot about like branding and how people are represented and just the appropriation of what's happening. And they both have very good points because they're both mixed race, and so they can see it from both sides. So let's have the conversation with them and see what they have to say. I've never really, never found out where they're both from. It's really bad, I've known them for a really long time. So let's find out where they're from. And yeah, let's see what they have to say. This all together.
Remember not to lift the mug, it's got your face on it.
Just be like, hey,
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 hey Gemma, hey Gemma on the mic. Hi guys, thanks for watching. Welcome to She Is. I'm talking to Gemma and to Jannine, who we are actually friends. This is probably my only video where we're actually real friends. Real friends. Can I tell you the story though? We started up a fitness group to work out. No. We started up a fitness group to work out, and they decided that we decided that we were pretending that it was a fitness group, but really we were talking about boys. But the agreement was that we were all dating and we would all date and tell stories. Yeah. 6 months into the fitness group, both of them meet someone. I end up being single. Now we're in the boyfriend's house of one of them, and the other one's engaged. This is how you guys bailed.
Wow.
The purpose in the group
was marriage.
I'm not bitter about it. I'm just saying. Anyway,
Sound not bitter.
No, I'm not bitter.
You sound not bitter.
No, not at all. So I've been trying to put this together for a while, because I think you guys both obviously have different ethnic backgrounds. I always had the question of appropriation when it comes to branding, when it comes to who you choose to represent your brand, because we've had so many discussions being like, oh, we're looking for this person or we're looking for that person, and do they appeal to the masses? And then it's kind of like, do ethnic people appeal to the masses? I hate using that word. But first of all, obviously I want to know a little bit about yourselves, where you're both from, to the camera, like I pretend like I actually remember. So tell me about your stories.
Jannine, you go first? Sure. Jannine, it's my name. I have worked
Jannine with a fancy surname.
Oh, Jannine Bardouille.
So good.
It's French. I've worked in PR for about 7 years. And for a range of different companies, everything from kind of big luxury brands to kind of mass high street.
And ethnically, where are you from?
Ethnically,
I
know. I am half Dominican, not Dominican Republic.
Dominican
Island. And my mother's mixed race, so she's half Nigerian and half Irish.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet mix.
Good mix.
It is a good mix. On to you with your mix.
On to me with my mix. So,
yeah.
Mixed.
Yeah.
You can tell. And my dad is from Ghana and my mum is English from Newcastle. A Geordie, as you can tell by my accent. I am in PR and I've always done fashion PR and always luxury brands because I like fancy things.
I want to talk to you guys about brands, brand appropriation, what you think. Luckily enough, this week, obviously when you guys see this, it's going to be a bit later, but Tory Burch released a video. Everyone got really angry because they used an Afro-Caribbean song, but had Poppy Delevingne in it, caused a lot of controversy, and we always will send each other bits and bobs and be like, oh my god, did you see the drama? But we never openly would discuss it, and I think that we were just saying before we were on here that it's tricky because there's that line between cultural appropriation and then appreciating what something is.
It's that respect, isn't it?
Yeah, but where is that line? When is it okay? And what do you guys think about that? Having been at brands and seen brands trying to get people behind them or use people as the face off.
For me, usually the difference between appreciation and appropriation is if you've taken the time to understand where it came from and what it means.
How do you think people maybe have, but how are they meant to prove that? How do you prove that?
I don't, well, from the examples I've seen, I've always think the person writing it has no idea really where it came from.
Yeah.
It's usually something they've seen on the internet that looks cool.
Yeah.
So they've just added it into a campaign or into a thought. I think there's nothing wrong with
wanting to be a part of something or to appreciate something, but if you don't know what it means, like look into it before you kind of spread it as your own word.
And in terms of like communicating that, I think if you've understood it, it will be there in the detail. Like you can pay little kind of tokens to, you know, if we're talking about Tory Birch video, because that's what we're talking about here. You know, yes, it's an Afro-Caribbean song, but they could have referenced that in maybe the styling or the accessories. They could have just a nod to that. I think would have paid a bit of respect. I think,
like, was the issue that not using an ethnic person for an ethnic song?
But I don't think you can just plonk a black person in or a Chinese person in and then it's okay. And you tick the box. It's like, you know, are we going to put quotas into fashion campaigns? No, we're not.
We're not. And I think that's quite a big problem. People are now so aware of like the diversity thing that I feel like people are just throwing like, let's put the tokens in quickly. Let's put the tokens in so we can cover our back and no one can yell at us. But as you said, we were talking about this before, if Tory Birch's angle are middle-aged Caucasian women...
From a commercial point of view, and purely, if we just set aside the ethnic issues for a second, from a commercial point of view, who are you selling to? You are selling to middle American white girls, so who's going to appeal to them? Well, of course, probably Venus.
So it's the problem is not using her, it's the problem using this song. But in there, because I read the article that the, you know, chief or whatever wrote, and he was just like, we just really liked the song. It was a fun beat and we enjoyed it. But then it's that thing of how were they meant to know?
But it's not just enjoying the song. It's like she was aping the dance moves. And it's like you can't really do the dance moves. And so then it's just like you're just imitating and mocking something. And for the people that did it, like the black teenagers in America that were dancing, like it's part of their cultural experience to dance like that and to share those movements.
Do you feel that? Do you feel like black people are being a little bit kind of like righteous, and we're kind of like, well, she can't do it because she's not black? Like, are we being a bit? Is it?
I mean, we should be sharing culture, and you know, I always joke with my boyfriend, everyone, one day we're all going to be brown.
Because I also say mixed race is the highest growing group.
It's the highest growing group.
Do you think then this, you know, you're not appropriating, you are appropriating will still be valid?
I think there's always going to be an element of it. I think you can still, you know, I'm a quarter Irish and a quarter Nigerian, but I've never been to either of those countries. And so I wouldn't claim to be like, you know, righteous about Ireland or like the Naja lifestyle. And I also think that I don't think people are being like too sensitive or righteous. Like I would never claim to like understand experiences of a Chinese person or an Indian person. Like I wouldn't just pick up a bit of that thing because I liked it and started like carrying it around like it was my thing. I think people need to be respectful.
So do you think the issue is that people aren't, that there's no respect?
I think it's
or understanding.
It's seen as a trend and a lot of times.
It's seen as cool.
Because this diversity thing has become has become a new thing to do.
I think it gives you an ethnicity in some ways as well, because if you look at the shows, everyone's now doing dual gender and there's gender fluidity. So I think it's kind of the merging a lot of kind of cultural structures that are breaking down, and it's not just not ethnicity. It goes further than that. Maybe eventually those barriers are going to be broken down. It becomes about the individual when we're all the same and there's no. It's all quite a level playing field. Whether with your gender.
Will there ever be a level playing field? Do you genuinely think there will be?
I hope so.
But hoping and knowing.
I don't think there will be.
You don't.
Because it's like there has to be. It's the way that society works. Something always has to be dominant. And whether that be
it's like the rich and the poor.
Exactly, like socioeconomic, like male, female, whatever. Like something is always going to be a little bit ahead. And not that we can't kind of keep fighting and working to close the gap, but. I don't think it's realistic to think that things are just going to go away.
I mean, I'd like to think we get to a point where it's about celebrating the individual, and if you look at kind of even with the casting and the models at the minute, we've gone from these very skinny Eastern European girls, faceless girls essentially, to personalities. You look at Adjua, you look at Winnie. That these are all even Slick as well. Like, these girls have personalities. They have their you know. So I think it's about celebrating.
It's interesting because I was thinking about this the other day. They're rising as like the Kendalls and Gigi's are still doing amazing, but they're slowly not as, you know, like sought after or as like looked on as iconic as maybe like the way people are looking at Ado or looking at Winnie is like oh my god, I could be her.
Yeah.
What's aspirational, I think, has changed.
Yeah.
It makes me happy to see like a Winnie or a Jordan or a Neelam like rocking around getting campaigns. And it doesn't detract anything from you know, Kendall or Gigi or whoever. Like it's just more. And I think it's nice to see those opportunities go into more kinds of people.
I went to a all-white boarding school with my twin sister, and then there were maybe like a couple other kids out of like 500, probably like less than 5. And my dad was in the army, so we had a very, very institutionalized kind of white upbringing. So I walk into rooms and I forget. I don't even think about it. I don't even notice that it's a sea of white faces and I'm not the same as them. Obviously, I can't see my face all the time. So in terms of diversity,
it's interesting though. That's nice that you don't see it, and I didn't necessarily see it that much. But then I think when I moved to New York and then moved to London, I was a bit like, hold on, something's weird here. And then because I worked at magazines, which are, I mean, it's tricky. Like you do literally look around and be like, I'm gonna keep my hair straight. There's no other way for me to fit in here. I don't know how to work with these women. They're never gonna relate to me, and I'm never gonna relate to them. But you find a way of relating, and which is great. You relate on a different platform. Mainly talk about boys. You find a way to relate. But I think that when we all started in the industry, when we all met back in the day, it just wasn't a topic. I didn't look at you guys and be like, oh, black friends. But now I weirdly look at you and I'm like, I'm
like, you haven't seen the Basma there. I'm like, who's that? My black friend.
That's nice to have. But we never started like that. And that's what's weird about it. We are more aware.
More aware now. It was only when we kind of came together as a group, I was like, you're so right. And but on my own, I wouldn't have started that kind of dialogue.
I didn't used to make it such a thing.
No.
And why are we
more aware of it now?
As diverse people decided to be aware of it to the point where we feel like we need to say it because we didn't feel like we needed to say it.
I think it's also
the change.
It comes with age. It's realizing what's around you. Like when you're young, it's like it's not, you know, appropriation isn't a priority. It's like where am I going this afternoon? How much pocket money have I got? And so as you're growing up, you're just more aware of the world, and you're aware of the unjust things, and you're aware of the things you want to change and the things you want to be a part of. And I think you consciously or subconsciously look for people who share your viewpoints about stuff. Not necessarily being the same. I think we all have varying viewpoints on things, but I appreciate that kind of dialogue. And
it's interesting. The dialogue is more interesting.
To
sit with someone and be like, how do you feel? And there's an element of being like, let's just sit behind the scenes. Instagram DMs are great for that. Just sending nothing. Like, oh my god. Like it. I don't know. I worry that this is all just a thing to talk about. A thing that people are getting riled about.
I think it's an ongoing issue.
But is it an ongoing issue that has solutions, or is it just an ongoing issue?
I think the first step is actually the conversation.
Yes.
And it's being aware of it, because nothing can change until people understand something needs to be changed.
As we said that a lot of the problems is if there's not a head of the table to sort of be like, by the way,
I'd be considered.
But then maybe it's for us to take responsibility and be like, we should say something. And we talked about this because we talked about faces of brands and whatever. It's an interesting thing of, does black sell, or does diversity sell?
I'd say it does,
but only just now because it's
it depends who you're selling to.
As PRs, do you find that using a black person on the face of something, or
I mean, I can't talk to sales specifically, but in terms of the press opinion of brands that are showing a more diverse, whether that be ethnicity on the catwalk, in campaigns, and then back to kind of gender fluidity and girl boy and all the rest of it. The press perception of them is positive. They feel like the houses that do those things are progressive houses that are looking forward. They're not fussy stuck in the past.
But in the press, do you feel like that's because they're like, oh, everyone else is doing it, so we should do it?
No, I think the press reports on what people want to read about. So the more conversations being had on like social media or like in friendships and whatever, the more that they'll print the stories, because that's what people want to read.
I feel like people are too scared to be negative about diversity or about black people in general. Like if I wasn't black, I'd be scared. Like As much in the same way that when I worked at a magazine, I was too scared to point out white people things, Caucasian people things, I should say. So in the same way, I think that like my Caucasian friends, I think definitely, even if they thought I was like a bit outspoken or say too much or whatever, I think out of respect they wouldn't say much to me. But I do feel like they are alienated from the conversation, because they can't get involved in the conversation. I'm not having these conversations with my other black friends or like my other ethnic friends, and I think, are we alienating?